Hello, folks. This is Kevin from Good Day, Good Prayers. Hope you're having a good day. Today we're going to be discussing the military takedowns of all of the various nations that have communist leaders. The reason that those leaders are being taken down is because they will not cooperate with the world's population. They want to do things against the people rather than to help the people. And because of that, they are being taken down. It all started with the Dominion machines and all the other machines that were out there that were taking over elections. And there were 2 or 3 different types of machines that they were using. There were places in Venezuela. There were places in various parts of Europe and also China that were in the process of trying to take over the entire world by bringing in all of these communist leaders. There were 70-some leaders that were ultimately brought in by changing the votes in the machines. All of this was being run by Venezuela's gang, and that's the reason why we got to see Maduro being taken down, because it was his gang or his cabal that was in the process of doing all this. Now, there were places in various countries around the world where they had hidden points where the voting would be cracked open and they would go ahead and change votes. Now, from what I understand, they were able to do that by taking an image of a vote and then flipping it over so that the person who was the liberal, the socialist, or the communist was the one who was getting the vote, even though the vote was for the conservative individual. Now, there were a few countries that managed to get through this and away without having their votes tampered with, but there were over 70 nations where the votes were being tampered, and it had been at least 2 decades, if not more, that many of these countries were being tampered with. When Biden said that they had a system set up where he didn't need your vote, but that he would be elected, it was through this process, which was a part of the Venezuela cartel or cabal, I guess. Well, actually, I think it really actually is a cartel. Anyway, they were the ones who had set up this process, and it was put into all the various types of voting machines that were out there. And because of that, these voting machines would go ahead and the information could be easily accessed from various countries. Oh, it could be England, it could be France, it could be Germany, or it could be Serbia, or it could be any number of different places where they were accessed. And then they would take these votes and they would flip them so that the liberal or the socialist communist person would wind up getting the votes. Candidate is the word I was trying to find. But anyway, they would wind up getting the votes. And the people who actually were winning the elections, which were the conservative people, were winding up losing a lot of these elections. Now, the United States in 2020 2024 was the first nation that was able to overcome the cheating that was going on. And so now the new system that is being set up based on the 2024 system is the new system that will be used to keep various organizations from being able to steal the elections. That's going to be very interesting because in the long run, these people are now going to be losing the elections that they were supposed to have been able to win over the last 2 or 3 decades. So that's going to make a lot of difference. People who are liberal, who are communist, are not going to be able to win these elections anymore because without the cheating, there's no way they can win. So it'll be very interesting to see how this all works out. Many of these countries over the next several months and over the next year or so going to be having new elections. And in those elections, you will not only see the person who they cheated for losing the election, but you're going to see the people who actually were being voted winding up winning the elections. And so that's going to be a very, very interesting thing as we move forward. We saw the Maduro takedown, and we may see 1 or 2 other takedowns in other countries. However, I don't believe that we're going to see a lot of them, at least not before the EBS system has an opportunity to give the people the rightful information. Once the rightful information is out there, then I believe that we're going to begin to see the process of various types of information coming out. I believe that after the EBS has had its opportunity, you're going to see the amount of truth that is out there go from the 3% to 5, 10, 15% up to about 20%. And then from there, people who are in various positions of doing these videos are going to be introducing additional information so that eventually a lot of the information will be out there. I don't think that every bit of information is ever going to be available to the people, but as much information as can possibly be gotten out there. It's from the same standpoint that we will not see all of the various nations that have been taken down. We won't actually see those takedowns because these are things that a lot of people are not going to be ready to deal with. Now in the future, in 20 years or so, we might see some things and we might have an opportunity at that time to be able to say, okay, this is something I can deal with now because the world is in a lot better position. And so that's possibly when a lot of things will come out that have been happening behind the scenes. This is Kevin from Good Day, Good Prayers, and I want you folks to have a good day.